Hi there, welcome to another episode of the African Builder Show. This is the show where we showcase entrepreneurs, innovators across Africa. And the whole essence is for us to be able to get a critical mass of people to know the opportunity that exists within Africa and how to take advantage of it. And what I want you to do for me before we go on is for you to follow us across all social media platforms showing on the screen. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, turn on notification. This is one of the 5 shows that we do under the Business 360 brand. We have 5 shows. We drop content every single day on YouTube on different things. So I want you to go now and subscribe so that you don't miss any of this content. They're very educative, interesting content, covering retail, finance, stock market, entrepreneurship, all of those shabang. And I just want you to be part of this community. Of course, I want you to also go to this is business360.com. That's our news, intelligence and insight platform where we drop news, articles, report every single day. So let's get into it. Today, I'm starting a series, which is like a sub-series or a sub-content under the African Builder Show. I'm calling it Business Building Blocks. So it's going to be a solo one, unlike the podcast where we actually probably interview people. That one will come up from time to time. But I just feel that there's a need for us to talk about business building block. So this is business building block subsegment B3. And all we'll be doing is to be unpacking different strategies, principles of running a successful business in Africa. I've been about 20 years in the rings now, so I think I'm kind of qualified to spotlight some of the things that I've learned running several businesses in the last 20 years or so. So I'm going to be sharing insight with you. Some of it you will agree and some you will disagree, right? You can always hear your disagreement in the comment section, right? You can always ask questions. So let's get right into the show. So today we're going to be discussing something that I think it is important. So naturally, because we're talking about building blocks, if you're talking about business building blocks, and one of the things you would probably talk about starting with or starting from will be vision, goal setting, and all of that. And we're going to talk about all of that. But for me, I've been thinking through this week, and something really, really is very profound that I've just discovered. I haven't just flipping through different years of my entrepreneurial sojourn, to say that one of the greatest principles or one of the greatest discovery rather that I've made is the fact that things just happen with time. In other words, all things being equal, things get better with time. And this is the signs of success generally. I look through several people. I look through my life and my business. I can remember vividly the first 2 years of the business, literally. It's like we weren't even making anything. We're barely getting by. I was telling some of my staff recently in a meeting that if we actually did the figure that we did in year 1, year 2, for the whole year, if we did it now in a month, we would miss payroll. So just for you to understand the growth, if we did what we did in year 1, even year 1, year 2 put together, if that's all we did in a month in terms of revenue, in a month, currently, we would be struggling to meet payroll. So which means, in other words, that we make much more in a month in terms of gross revenue anyways, than we made, in the first all 2 years. So imagine, and there was several situations, and there were several times I thought that we should just pull in the plug, that we should just all go home and maybe look for a job. In fact, I can remember vividly that I actually interviewed for one job. And after that interview, I went to my friend's office. He's an entrepreneur. It was the one that actually, encouraged me, and all of that, I looked at those periods and I laugh at it, but very funny. So what has changed? What has changed? Nothing much. It's just a consistency. Over time, if you do something long enough, when people need to do something around that particular, service or product or project, you are going to be the one they're going to call. So one of the things I would advise budding entrepreneurs listening to me, right now is, if you're starting out, have the long haul, the long-term mindset, because things might not definitely be like on an upward trajectory early on. Things hardly pick up. There are few outliers, obviously, but the general law of life is step by step. A little there, a little step here, then you are getting gradually, achieving your goal, achieving your target. In any way, I don't want to talk about destination, because destination is always progressive. So when you get there, you're supposed to set another new goal. Until you leave the earth, you must keep building, you must keep improving. You can see from Dangote, it did sugar, it did salt, now it's doing the refinery. Who knows what next is doing? Of course, recently it's also starting to expand to other African market, putting multi-billion-dollar investment in different places. So, but the whole idea is that you must have the long-term orientation. One of these major author, I think Simon, I'm forgetting the other his surname, but he wrote a book called the Infinite Game, and all he's talking about is that life is on a progressive run. So there's never going to be a time. So the whole idea is that when you're starting out, you need to tell yourself, and this is the rule, because I have the rule of year 7. Whatever you are doing, even if the total addressable market is small, all things being equal, because I don't know, maybe it's a law of nature thing. Nature tends to reward effort over time. Effort deployed in the right place over time. I believe that within year 1 and 7, if you stay in business, there's going to be break even, in terms of more than break even. Year 1, year 2, year 3, you should reach break even. By year 7, you should be comfortable. Of course, again, that's where the problems start, where people plateau. But the whole idea is that I'm very sure, looking at empirically, I've studied people around me, my business experience, reading about other successful entrepreneurs. Most of the time, you need to put in the minimum of 7 years. You can be lucky. Now, what I realize for people that get it easy on time is that something go quickly off along the way. So for some people that are outlier, you might start your business year 1 and you experience a boom. Just watch out. More often than not, you're going to hit a roadblock around year 3. That's why when people succeed too soon, I get so scared. So for example, I've noticed in prospecting, once you enter a transaction and the thing is almost looking good immediately, especially if it's a B2B transaction, that's business to business transaction, suspect that transaction. Even if it's a B2C, but it's high ticket, most of the time you realize, let's say there's a pseudo, I call it pseudo confirmation, but it won't appear to you as pseudo. They will just confirm. Before you know it, by the next 3-4 days, things will start going south. It's better for a transaction to start systematically and you follow the cadence. And in 2 weeks, 2 months, depending on the nature of the business or of the transaction, you're able to get it done. Rather than immediate positive stuff that gives you that pseudo idea that the deal is concluded, only for the client to come back and say, I want this document, I need to fact check this, I need to double check on this, I need to do due diligence on this. Somebody is not agreeing to it, my wife is not agreeing to this, my lawyer says this and that. Before you know it, the transaction goes south. So most things in life are built on steady. The law of steady must come into play. Steady wins, steady progression in the right direction. So the whole idea is, of course, you need to check out all the fundamentals. Number 1, is there a gap in the market? Is there market in the gap? What's your vision? What's your goal? What you're achieving, is it what you're trying to achieve? Is it realistic? Subject to economic indices, industry growth projection, opportunities within the market, both latent and obvious demand, and all of that. But what I'm saying is that one major thing, because this thing I'm telling you is not granular, it's not scientific in that sense of something you can measure. but it's an emotional play. It's a psychological, both emotional and psychological play, that when you want to do business or when you want to go into anything, you must give it time. That's what I'm talking about. Because there's just a way I've discovered that nature will reward you with time. Even for some people that are doing something untowards, you will realize that over time, because of the accretion, because of the progression in the right direction, they are going to reap that reward. Because seed needs time to germinate, particularly if you want that seed to be sustainable. We all know the generic idea about the difference between a crop that you consume and a cash crop, that, maybe a cash crop like palm oil, like cocoa and all of that. Of course, even the whole idea around bamboo, it takes several years where you don't see even that measurable. You will never know that, the whole idea about big trees is also that they take their roots downward first before you start seeing the fruit. So the reason why people don't succeed is because they hop or they give up too soon, too easily. They don't wait things out. I was having a discussion with somebody yesterday, and she was talking to me about how, somebody wants to, start another new business. And I'm saying, see, this person have not even explored the basic level, the basic opportunity within a sector. Rather than start a business in another sector, what she's supposed to do is to start. And I gave one or two ideas of how, because the whole idea is that, of course, that in year 1, year 2 of your business might not be consistent in terms of, maybe, especially if it's service business, you might not get as much in the first year. So which means you have a lot of downtime. Now, if you have a buffer, one of the things you can do in your downtime when you don't have much work to do is to study, is to build capacity, is to prospect. But people will not do that, or start a product within that, new offering, but within that spectrum of your business, because the other side you are going to, you will still have to spend the man hour to build that up. Why don't you consolidate on one first? And it's a major problem I've seen in Nigeria. You see people introducing themselves, and they are young people, 20-something, telling you they do this, and how do you ever want to succeed? Imagine that you're now competing with somebody that's just the only thing they're doing day and night. So you are a fashion designer, you are also maybe a decorator, and you're also doing what else do people do, or maybe you are now selling, maybe you are selling some wares online, maybe gift items. You see, everything is disparate. There are some people, there are a lot of entrenched industry people that have just been doing one of the things you are, as one person trying to do 3 things, that they have been doing that singular thing for 25 years, for 20 years. Those are the kind of people you want to go and play with in an industry. So diversification is not even supposed to happen in that first 7 years, except you have such rapid growth that is sustainable and is consistent. Otherwise, what you're supposed to do is to focus on that until you achieve, until that thing can pay for the light, can pay salary, can let you even be able to set some things aside in form of investment, and you are comfortable. You don't have any business quitting a business or expanding into another completely different industry. Now, and I'm saying this because I've also fallen prey. Like I told people, the grass looks greener on the other side. You know why? Because there's green snake under that green grass. So what is making that grass green is this green snake, which will show itself. The more, if you jump to the other side of the fence to go and experience the good grass, you love how lush it is, how beautiful, the scenery is very nice. When you jump in there, the viper will come out, the green snake will come out. And you realize that on the surface, some business look calm, but the back end is extremely chaotic, just like a manufacturing line. But everything on the outside looks cool, nice office design, nice building, maybe the founder of that particular business or industry you so admire is driving a Range Rover, things like that. You don't understand that they are also have gone through some of the challenges that you are going through that is distracting you from leaving that particular business. Every business has the potential to have great traction. And that's what I've seen. This thing I'm discussing with you today, I've seen it in several sectors. I've seen people in safety management. I've seen people in fashion explore, as in experience this kind of thing I'm talking about. I've seen people in different businesses. And most of the time, they are not even the most obvious business. So to bring home the point, guys, I remember, like I told you guys, in my year 1, year 2, running my marketing agency, things were pretty slow, and things were pretty slow, and yeah, we could barely meet up with salary. It's an organic business. We had to pivot several times. Then, of course, we're even just now doing the part of the business that is the least profitable, which is the typical digital marketing, running social media for clients. And so it was really tough, guys. I must tell you, it was really tough. And, at some point about year 3, I just said, man, I have to change. I felt so discouraged. I felt then clients, the way probably they treat you and all of that, I just felt, okay, so I'm going to go and apply my marketing and sales skill into another sector, which I did. And we had some measure of success. It was real estate. But what we didn't know is that real estate comes with its own unique set of challenges that can drown you. Literally, we've had people even in our industry die untimely death because of the stress, particularly if you run real estate in Lagos. Particularly, we have people that have gone bankrupt, people that have chronic health issues, people that have literally, they ran away and all of that because there would just be problems and issues. So in the interim, you can have cash flow. The thing also, for example, about real estate is that you would have to, it required loads of money to get good product, to get, brands that have great titles to do these things. And you are dealing with entrenched market leaders. So one of the things I did was to really look again into my agency business. And we picked it up again. Even though, of course, we still do the other business. But I picked it up again. And guy, trust me, I don't know what we've done now. We've probably grown 1000x since I made that decision like 3-4 years ago to return back to my primary and fundamental business where my skill set are properly aligned, where this thing I schooled for it. I have certification to the highest level in that particular field. And what has changed now? What has changed is things just get better with time. You learn in time. You make your mistake, you do all of that. The opportunity will come with time. Some people you met 3-4 years ago will come back to you. So nothing is ever wasted. So you must just keep putting that incremental input every single day, consistently. So that's what I'm saying, that there's a natural law around that science might not even be able to prove, but empirically we'll find out that nature rewards consistency and patience. Now, if you don't imbibe this culture and this principle that I'm sharing, and I'm also trying to train myself, because there's always that chase for something new, something whatever, you just realize that you will implode. Then the thing you are doing, you've not even consolidated it. So we started our IT services. We've always done it on and off within our agency, but we needed, because we saw that there's a clear opportunity based on demand that clients were making. Everything started from build this website to can you build this portal and all of that. And so we did start our 1.0 version of that, running our software development company, was about 2 years ago. And we still start with an HR software, and we did a lot of prospecting there. It didn't really pan out, but my marketing agency was growing. I needed to focus, so I really focused on that. And until last year, when we started building out our own software, because what we're doing before was selling third-party software. Do you know what happened this year? in the space of 3 weeks, 2 companies that reached out 2 years ago that were chasing reach out that they want to now implement what we sold. So imagine that we had not probably left prospecting for the last 2 years for that business. Can you imagine what would have happened? That's what I'm talking about. That 2 years on, 2 businesses, as if they did meeting amongst themselves, one reach out, the other one reach out by themselves to say, now we're ready. You get what I mean? So look at the impact of what we did 2 years ago, coming back just 2 years on. And that's the power of consistency, because in all those years, what will be happening is that you'll be building competence, you'll be learning, you'll be meeting people. People will be making a mental note of what you do. But the problem at times is that people don't know how to consolidate and be consistent in one thing. So by the time somebody is coming back to want to look for the people they can employ or engage in that particular thing, you are nowhere to be found because you are off radar, because you are not consistent. So this is what I really just want to share today. The key word there is the power of consistency. One of the laws around I want you to build around this concept I'm teaching is, before you go into anything, make a commitment that you are going to be in it for minimum of 7 years. Or let's say you are running out of time, 5 years. Don't conclude that nothing will work, traction will not happen. There are fundamental things that you know by year 1 or even 6 months into it that this is not going to work. But most of the time, what I realize is that it might even just be our laziness that is making us want to drop it. Because except you have established through data that this is not going to work, or from day one that you went into a wrong field. But if you want to do something, particularly a business idea, and you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people succeed in it, then you should know that there's potential in this. You can succeed if you understand the critical success factor. And that's very important. In strategy, one of the things you must highlight early on in your business is the critical success factor. And you can't brush it off. And that's what happens most of the time. What do you do when you are waiting for that business breakthrough? You put in all the critical success factor, guys. What will make that thing work? There are always factors. Some are non-critical, some are critical, some are fundamental. So because, for example, there's a dynamics of B2B marketing that is different from B2C. So if you have a B2C orientation, it means that you need to rework your mindset to how do you prospect to a B2B market or an enterprise market as against business to consumer. If technology is a critical success factor to something, or maybe an automation process, you have to put it in place. If you don't, you are not going to have the desired success, or you are not going to catch on success early on. And there are always signals beaming at you. At times, it might be that you are even selling to the wrong market. You might need to change your locale. You might need to change or tweak something. And that's why we call product market fit is also a critical success factor. You must be able to align your services and your product to meet the need of the addressable market. All of those things must jam together. But the whole idea is that everything will align in the process of time. That's what I'm teaching. And I wish I could go on the rooftop and raise my voice and talk about this, because I realize that that's the reason why people don't succeed. Why am I sharing this? We know that the success of any economy, or in terms of state or national, is broadly determined by the enterprising activities of its citizen. New York is an example. California is the number one world example. Why Silicon Valley, and all other things that plays around it. So no nation can succeed outside of entrepreneurs. So we're talking about even that there are no jobs, the economy is some type of way. But I believe that if you have dogged, resilient people coming out to come and prove their use case and not checking out. And again, some of these things in terms of enterprise building can be systematic. One of the most recommended as a model I advise people is that gradual easing out. And the principle is simple. Keep your day job, but be moonlighting. And if you can, let your new business idea be around what you've built experience on. Don't be in financial service for 10, 15 years and you want to go and bake cake. There's nothing bad in it if you know how to bake good cakes and everything. But there's something about what you have built over time. Because you're passionate about cake. What does that even mean? Cake is cake at the end of the day. But however, you have something that you've really built, skill set, competence, you have certification in. It makes your life a bit consistent and congruent. But most people do disparate stuff. They learn this for years, they go into something different. So plan your career, find a fit. Keep doing your 9 to 5 in that moonlight. Now gradually ease out and say, okay, your first goal should be, how can I make my salary in a year from this moonlighting business? That's your first milestone. And it could take you a year, it could take you 2 years. But you will know. Now you don't immediately you hit that monthly revenue goal. You don't just pause, right? You don't resign. What you do is that you watch it for the next 6 months to make sure that it's not an outlier. You don't have an outlier month. You have been able to indeed reach that milestone, and that's your worst case scenario. Then you can pull out. Then you can now work out the business again solo for a year. Then you increase your revenue base so that you can bring 1 or 2 people and you still be able to pay yourself salary. Then you can go on consistently like that. So the game of entrepreneurship, the game of transiting is not that difficult. But if you don't do it on time, if you are not strategic and systematic about it, then it's going to impact you seriously where you just abruptly have to leave. Let's say there's a job cut or a retrenchment, there is this and that is making you move. Or you are just tired. Some people leave work because they are just tired. But they don't have a plan to get themselves employable and make sure that they have the same revenue or something close to it. Immediately they leave that work. And people struggle and they probably have to go again and all of that. So, but the point I'm raising is this is the base that I will regard, because they are like what we're going to do first in this business building block series is to build depth first. We go down, we go deep first before we start building the foundations and all of that. So this is part of the deep that most people don't talk about, or most people don't really, they cannot even articulate properly. And I want to believe I'll be able to articulate it a bit, because these are just process in the mind where you're checking what are the fundamentals, and you're saying that beyond even the foundational issues, there's the core foundation. By that, I mean, there are 2 layers of foundation. There's a kind of foundation you see on the surface, but the bulk of the foundation are deep inside the ground. And this is one of it. Most people don't talk about it. Everybody talk about starting a business. They talk about finance, human resource, vision, and all of that. But there's the psychology around success that you must build first. And one of it is things just happen in the course of time. So consistency, patience is truly a virtue. And what I'm saying, to operationalize what I'm saying, is that before you go into anything, or if you are into one thing at the moment, don't say it's not going to work. Don't say it's not going to have traction until at least you spend minimum of 5 years consistently without being distracted, working on that project, working on that business idea, day and night, building capacity, meeting people, prospecting sales, checking that the critical success factors are in place. And if the year 5 starting to look good, give it another 2 years. I believe that most business breakthrough are bound to happen mostly between year 2 and year 7, where at least you break through. You know that you can never go below a threshold, all things being equal. Of course, there's always the up and down within the business. But within that 7 years, you'll have gone through a lot of up and down cycle. And if you are still surviving, you are getting more customers every day. That shows you that that business potentially at least can pay the bills. So we're not even talking about exponential success now. We're talking about baseline success, where you can pay the bill, keep the light on, put a little extra aside to expand and invest and expand your business, take care of your family and all of that. So this is my clarion call. Put in whatever. So if you're in your year 1, year 2, you don't have any excuse until year 5. Except you know that your business hypothesis is fundamentally flawed. You can leave, you can quit, and the earlier you can do that, the better. So you quickly go on to the next. But when you're going in the minimum, plan to always for an idea from seed stage to traction. I've looked at it using empirical, observation, my own experience, people around me, and even some other global success. And I've realized that things will pan out in the course of time. The only difference is time. There's nothing you can do except to wait it out. But in the waiting out, I don't mean to sit down idly. No, I'm saying that build consistently. What we said is that progress in the right direction is the key. So I hope this has been an eye-opener to some people. And in case you are struggling, you are discouraged, I hope this will help you. But so we're still going to continue in this series from time to time. We'll do that. But otherwise, we'll do our podcast. We'll do all the other things that we normally do on the African Builders Show. But before we go, I like to make a demand or a plea. Follow us across all social media platforms. It's on your screen somewhere on this video. Then subscribe to our YouTube channel, B360 TV. Go to thisisbusiness360.com. Subscribe to our newsletter. We have a lot of sector-specific report that will blow your mind. Go there. All we are all about is supporting enterprise across Africa, entrepreneurs, companies doing great stuff. And if you also want to be part of this, maybe in form of interview, review, showcase, all of that, we'll be ready to oblige you. And also comment. If you have questions, please comment. Do all that. And I'll be happy to see you on another episode of the African Business Show. Keep winning, guys. Take care. Bye.